This summer the former Ajax man swapped Amsterdam for East London in a £43 million move. In this article I will look at how the Ghanaian can be used by David Moyes, whilst also making sure his team continue using the setup that has proven so effective for them this season. So first I'll take a brief look at West Ham's current setup. Tactical analysis. West Ham have primarily set up in a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1 hybrid thus far. In recent games Lucas Paqueta has been deployed on the left wing, but has largely been used as a false winger, using Emerson's overlaps to hold the width and allow him to pick up areas in the deep left half space. Paqueta has also formed a back five a few times to negate any numerical superiority that the opposition may try to gain. The block is better structured than last season. West Ham will either look to force the opposition into their between-the-lines players and then pressure centrally, or they look to stay compact and patient in their press and force the opposition wide and into putting crosses in. This is often more effective than looking to press, due to West Ham's aerial dominance from both set pieces and open play. In build-up, West Ham have shown a clear bias towards the left side. This bias has paid off, however, as they seem a lot more fluid and comfortable in the early phases. The ball-playing abilities of Naif Agad, Edson Alvarez and Lucas Paqueta have all made progression out of the first phase a lot easier. The bias towards the left flank has also allowed Kufel and Bowen to stick to what they are good at. Kufel looking to find space in wide areas, and then get crosses into the box. See Ward-Prowse's goal versus Man City, and Bowen has attacked the back post and blindside areas excellently. See Bowen's goal versus Luton. West Ham have also been much better in transition and have punished a lot more consistently than last season, partially due to the movement of Antonio and Bowen, and also due to the speed of attacks. There's also a greater balance to the attacks now, Bowen attacking down the right-hand side and Antonio occupying the central or left zones. Ward-Prowse has contributed heavily due to his movement, as he'll often move into whichever zone Antonio doesn't occupy. Take his goal against City for example. Antonio uses his gravity to drag Akanji in, as a result freeing the back post. Ward-Prowse then times his run excellently and attacks the free space. Kudus's profile. Last season was Kudus's first season of consistent senior football, and he was a shining light in what was a relatively dull Ajax side. He racked up the majority of his minutes on the right wing or in the number 10 position. On the right he'd often look to isolate his full-back, and then beat them with his abundance of flair or his ridiculously quick acceleration. Off the right he'll look to cut in onto his favoured left foot. However, at times this can prove to be too one-dimensional, particularly if teams are in a low block and limit the access to central areas. In my opinion, his future lies in the central zones as a 10 or as an advanced 8 in the half spaces. His ability to carry the ball and use his running power to drag his team up the pitch in transition, coupled with his ability to receive with his back to goal and on the half turn in between the lines, makes him more than effective in these areas. Similarly to Eden Hazard, he has a stockier frame and will often look to use this to his advantage. He does so by putting his hips in between the defender and the ball to create separation, and then he'll accelerate away. He also has a wide range of finishes that he is able to execute, and similarly to Ward-Prowse's role this season, his movement is often reactionary to the number 9's positioning. Where does Kudus fit? In possession. In possession, I'd continue with the 4-3-3 and use him as a left 8. Individually, this role suits him so well. With the rotations and bias towards the left-hand side, he'd be able to get on the ball often and have a heavy influence on the game. His aforementioned ability to receive and carry the ball would also give West Ham another dimension to their attack, as I feel they currently lack someone direct and threatening on the carry in deeper areas. He'd also solve a minor problem for West Ham too. Against Man City I noticed that often West Ham were drawing the opposition's full-back out, but had no one that was running into the vacated space. Kudus, on the other hand, is a willing runner and a player that is intelligent enough to attack these spaces. If he was to receive in those areas, he could carry the ball inside and execute a driven finish, a cut back to a teammate, or he could carry it wider and cross the ball, which he is more than capable of doing. Out of possession. Out of possession, Kudus is very capable of executing the block. Similarly to Paqueta and Fornals, Kudus is a tenacious ball winner with a combative out of possession approach. This would help him to execute the current between the lines press. As previously mentioned, he often puts his hips in between the defender and the ball to create separation. However, this is the same out of possession. Rather than dueling and risking losing possession on second balls, he'll often look to put his body in between the opposition player and the ball to help regain and retain possession. This can lead to him passing it off to teammate, turning and carrying the ball, or winning a foul should the defender overcommit. In more advanced areas, Kudus is a very good counterpresser. His tenacious and combative nature often sees him look to win the ball back soon after losing it. However, at times he can be prone to overcommitting and affording space, although this is definitely a coachable weakness to his game. In conclusion, I definitely believe he should be utilized as an advance 8, whether that be in left or right half space. However, for West Ham's current tactical setup, the left definitely suits him more.